Hello, MBA people. How are you all? Well, here is steps to solve the CleanPower case that we have to deliver on the 25th for finance. This, of course, is not the solution. I prefer to give you the fishing rod instead of giving you the fish. So here we go. What do we require? We will require, of course, the exercise, pen and paper, a calculator, and finally the exam formula that is available on Full Fabric and that you will have to use it in the exam. Now for the step-by-step solution. What is the goal? The goal is to calculate the net present value. To calculate the net present value, what do we need? We need the cash flows and the weighted average cost of capital, which is the rate at which we will discount the cash flows in order to obtain the NPV. The cash flows, we have them, it's in the question. The weighted average cost of capital, no, we don't have it. Okay, let's try to find out how to calculate it. Step 1. Fill out the data from the question. Do a table like this with all the acronyms, what do they mean, and all the figures that you find. Do note that here I use the A letter instead of V. That's a personal preference. V stands for value of the company. A stands for assets. Basically, they're interchangeable in this context. Step 2. Fill out the easy numbers. What are the easy numbers? The easy numbers are the ones that you can calculate out of the top of your head. For example, you can calculate knowing that the risk-free rate is 4% and that the debt premium is 2%. Well, you do the math and calculate a cost of debt for the project of 6%. And you do the same for the cost of equity and for the debt risk premium of Solmar, for example. And also for the equity over assets ratios, those are pretty easy to calculate. Step 3. Forget about the CleanPower company. Forget about it. Erase it. You don't need anything from there. Why? Because their business is totally different from the tourism business. So they doesn't play a part in these calculations. We need to compare the tourism companies between themselves and to assess the risk in those businesses. Step 4. Identify your targets and get the formula. In this case, we're talking about the weighted average cost of capital, and we go to the formula sheet and get the formula there. Step 5. See which variables you are missing. In this case, everything that is in green we have from the question, and the red cross is what we are missing. In this case, the cost of equity. We go to the formula again and get the formula. Bear in mind that the debt-equity ratio can be calculated as I put it there. And we have those two ratios, so it's not quite unknown. We know that for sure. What we don't know is the cost of assets. The cost of assets, we have to use the CAPM again, and in this case we don't know the beta of the assets, but we have some information on it. If you go to the question, you will see that the beta of the assets of the project depends on the average of the other two of the industry, in this case the other two companies, plus a certain percentage. So we need to get the beta of the assets of the other two companies. And then we get to step 6. Continue to see which variables you are missing. In this case, we are calculating the beta of the assets of Ferias, which we can easily calculate. The only variable that we don't know of is the beta of the debt of Ferias, and we can use the below formula to calculate it. And also for Solmar, In this case, we will need to calculate both the beta of the debt and beta of the equity. But this is quite straightforward formula. It's like one size fits all. So with this, you can get both beta of the assets of the two companies. And like this, we get to the final step, in which we go backwards and solve all the formulas with the missing data. Basically, with the beta of debt and equity of both Ferrier and Solmar, we can get to the beta of the assets of Ferrier and Solmar. Using these two, we get to the beta of the assets of the project, then the cost of assets of the project, then the cost of equity of the project. With that in hand, we get to the weighted average cost of capital. We calculate the NPV using the cash flows and the weighted average cost of capital. And finally, we get the results right and we get a good grade. This is the ultimate goal of this exercise. Here are some pro tips. First one, know the names. Every acronym has a name. You should know it and be able to identify it whenever there's the question. The second one, use the annuity formula. It is easier to calculate the NPV using the annuity formulas, and it's less prone for calculation mistakes. The third one, use the formula sheet. Well, we have to use it in the exam, so might as well get used to it. And last, careful when rounding up numbers. If you make a small rounding in the betas, you will have a small difference also in the NPV. So you should be careful with that. Well, and this wraps up my explanation on how to solve this case. Please get in touch if you have any doubts. Here's my phone number, here's my email. Please, again, like and subscribe and whatever, all of that. Okay, see you in class.